The receptionist's voice over the intercom sounded uncertain. "There are 3 people here asking for you," she said. "They say they're family." For a moment I didn't respond. The word felt oddly distant. It had been 4 years since anyone in my family used it in connection with me. I stood and looked at the small security monitor on my desk. The lobby camera showed them clearly. My mother stood at the reception desk with her usual straight posture, handbag held firmly in front of her. My father was a step behind her, hands folded. My older brother leaned against the wall, glancing around the office like he was inspecting it. They looked completely comfortable. 4 years ago, the last thing my mother told me was that if I insisted on pursuing my own stable business idea, I shouldn't expect the family's support. Support turned out to mean contact. Calls stopped. Messages went unanswered. Eventually, I stopped trying. The company started quietly after that. A borrowed room above a mechanic's shop, late nights, cheap coffee, and clients who weren't sure whether to trust someone building something from scratch. It grew slowly. Not because of confidence, but persistence. Now we had a real office, a small team, stability, and suddenly my family was standing in the lobby. I unlocked the door remotely. They walked in as if they had always belonged there. The receptionist glanced at me as they passed her desk, clearly confused but staying polite. When they entered my office, my mother didn't greet me. She simply placed a stack of papers on my desk. The sound was sharp enough that a few employees outside glanced toward the glass wall. "I'll make this simple," she said calmly, no acknowledgement of time, no explanation. She slid the papers closer to me. "You've done well." "Better than we expected." My brother crossed his arms behind her. My father stayed near the door, silent. "We've spoken to someone about the company." My mother continued. "Given the family connection, it's reasonable that 50% ownership should belong to us." She tapped the first page. "If you sign this today, everything stays quiet." I looked down at the documents. The language was vague, a suggestion of legal authority rather than anything concrete. "If you don't," she added evenly, "people might start hearing things tonight. Investors tend to care about reputation." For a moment I said nothing. Outside the office, keyboards clicked and quiet conversations continued, normal sounds that made the situation feel strangely contained. My brother broke the silence. "You built this using the family name, whether you like it or not." That sentence pulled up an old memory. The night I told them I wanted to start the company. My brother laughing, my father asking how I planned to survive. My mother explaining that serious people didn't take risks like that. I closed the document slowly. Then I pressed the button on my desk phone. "Could you ask Daniel to come in for a moment?" I told reception. My mother frowned slightly. "Who's Daniel?" "Our legal advisor." The room changed after that. My brother straightened. My father's attention shifted toward the door. 2 minutes later, Daniel stepped in, tablet in hand, expecting something routine. "Sorry," I said. "Could you review this?" He skimmed the first page, then the second. "When did these individuals contribute capital to the company?" he asked calmly. My mother answered quickly. "It's not about capital. It's about family standing." Daniel nodded politely and checked something on his tablet. "All ownership records are already filed and documented," he said after a moment. "There's no legal claim here." My mother's confidence tightened. "We're trying to avoid problems," she said. "But if certain information about how this company started became public, if anyone spreads false claims intended to damage the company," Daniel replied evenly, "that becomes a legal matter as well." Silence filled the room. My father was the first to understand what had shifted. Not the company, the control. 4 years ago, they had decided whether I was worth supporting. Now they were standing inside a place that existed without them. My mother slowly gathered the papers back into her bag. My brother pushed himself off the wall and walked out without saying anything. My father lingered a moment, looking around the office. At the desks, the employees working quietly, the structure that had formed in their absence. Then he nodded once and followed them out. Through the glass wall, I watched them cross the lobby and leave the building. A few minutes later, the receptionist called softly through the intercom. "Everything okay?" "Yeah," I said. "Just an unexpected meeting." By evening, the office grew quiet again. I stayed at my desk for a while after everyone left. 4 years ago, their silence had felt like a final judgment. Now it felt like something that had already passed, not a victory, just distance. And for the first time, that distance felt steady enough to stand on.